it's Alice, and today we are gonna do a summer TBR. Now, summer is in full swing here. It's been really, really warm lately, bordering on hot. Like, it feels sometimes a little bit too hot, and you know, summer is just not really my favorite season, but I do believe in sort of leaning in and making the best of it and focusing on the things that you do like. And what I like about summer is ice cream. I love ice cream, although I kind of eat it all year round, but it's especially delicious in summer, obviously. And then I do like summer reading. Like, there is something special about reading in summer, I think. Maybe it's because I usually have some time off of work and so I get to read loads, but I also quite like reading outside, and it's nice to be in a season where you can do that without freezing to death. I also love when it rains in summer. Like, I just feel like that's really cozy, and the air smells really good when it rains. Maybe that's weird, but I really like that. And also when we have that kind of like thundery weather, which is very cozy, and I love it as long as it's not causing any damage. I think that's like one of my favorite parts about summer. Anyways, we are gonna focus on books for this video, I promise. I have some books that I've picked out for my summer TBR, and it's quite a big pile, so we should probably just get into it. We're going to start with some mystery books that I've picked out. I feel like summer mysteries are just the best, and the first one I have is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This is a relatively new release. It came out a couple of months ago, and I am so excited about this book. And I've sort of been saving it until summer because it feels like it's perfect for the season, because it is set during summer and it's set on a Greek island. The story is about this reclusive ex-movie star who's like one of the most famous people in the world, and every year she gathers her closest friends and they go on this trip to her private Greek island to sort of escape the English weather. And they go there and they get trapped there somehow. I don't really know if it's like a weather issue or something else, but they get trapped there and someone is of course murdered. That's all I really know, and I'm very excited about it. I really like this author, and I love a good closed circle mystery, and I think that the setting of this just sounds fantastic. So I'm super excited about this. It also says on the back that it's very twisty, which is great. The second one that I've got is one that I got very recently. It's The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. And again, this is a closed circle mystery, and it's set on an island, but this also seems to have some sort of dystopian vibes as well, which I'm really into. It's set in a world where this mysterious fog has basically killed everyone except some people who live on this island. And I think there's about 120 people and then 3 scientists. And they live on this island, and it's idyllic and amazing until, to everyone's horror, one of the scientists is murdered. And it seems like this murder has like triggered the security response around the island, which is like keeping the fog at bay. And so that's threatened, and because of that, they have to figure out what happened before the security system just completely gives up, I guess. But then also, for some reason, everyone has forgotten what happened that night. Like, everyone on the island, their memory is just wiped of the night where this person was murdered. So there's a lot going on, and I'm very curious about it, but I really trust this author to like have a lot of elements and have it be really crazy, but really pull it together, because I've read some other books by him and he does that really well. So I'm super excited about this. I hope it lives up to my expectations, because I'm not gonna lie, they are very high. The next mystery book I have is not set on an island, so we are mixing it up a little bit. It's Exiles by Jane Harper, and this is the third, and I'm pretty sure the final book in this series. And it starts with the book The Dry, which I read years ago and I loved, and then I read the sequel and I loved that maybe even more. And this is the final installment in that series. I guess it's a trilogy since there's only 3 books, but I'm very excited to read this and see what happens. The story is about a mother who disappears at this festival, and she leaves her child behind in a pram, and the mother just mysteriously disappears. And then a year later, our main character that we're following in this book, he turns up at this, I think it's kind of like a family gathering in South Australia. And I'm assuming he's there because he's on the case and he thinks that someone there had something to do with the disappearance. I don't really know. It also says that he has like, he runs into a woman that he's like drawn to. I don't really know, but I'm very excited. And one of my favorite things about this author is the way that she creates atmosphere in her settings. And like there's so much tension and I just love that element of her books. So super excited to read this. I am a little bit sad that it's the last book in the series, but I also feel like 3 books is like a solid thing. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be any longer than that. Moving on from the mystery books, I actually have a couple of witch books. And I love reading books about witches, but I've realized that I have a lot of them and I can't squeeze all of them into autumn. So I want to try to read a couple during the summer, and the first one is The League of Gentlewomen Witches by India Holton, which is the second book in a series, the first one being The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. But as far as I've understood this series, it doesn't actually follow the same characters, it just is like set in the same world. So I think that we're not really, I don't think we're going to see any of the characters that we saw in the first book, and we're following like completely different people. The first book was so much fun, and it followed like a society of lady thieves and kind of like pirates, whereas in this one we're following a league of witches, obviously, and it's set in the same time, so it's set during the Victorian era, and it says that like these witches use their powers to sort of manipulate and correct according to what they think is proper. And we're following a main character who is tasked with keeping this amulet safe that is really powerful, but a lot of people want it, and so that's a whole issue. And it does mention that there is some sort of pirate in here, which I think is sort of like a romantic interest, and it's kind of like rivals to lovers or something like that. And I just think this is going to be so much fun because the first book was such a romp, and like the writing style is very particular, and so if you're not into it, you're not going to like it, but if you are, it is so much fun. And I love the setting of like England and all of the Victorian stuff. It's really funny because there were so many rules in that time, and I feel like the first book at least played with that a lot. And yeah, I really liked the first book, so I have really high hopes for this one as well. The other witch book I have is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, which I'm pretty sure follows 4 women who during their adolescence, they take this oath to join this covert government department set up by the Queen, which is like a coven, I guess. And they do that during their adolescence, and then years and years later, we meet them as they're trying to just live their lives. But then I guess they're pulled back into this in a way because there's this warlock or something that like threatens their whole existence and the whole like government department. I don't really know, but it sounds interesting. I don't entirely know what to expect from this, so I'm just gonna go into it and see. I have been wanting to try something by this author for a while, so I'm excited about that. And it does say on the back here that the 4 women are best friends. So I'm hoping that there will be some like female friendship in here. Like I love reading about that, but it's really difficult to find in books for some reason. So yeah. A secret coven of witches that like works for the Queen. Like it does sound very cool. Next, I have got a book that I've had for years and I still haven't read. It's The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. And this is like historical fiction, and it's a mythology retelling. Basically retelling the story of Troy, but from the women's perspective, which obviously sounds very interesting. I think we're mainly following the character of Briseis, who is a queen in like a neighboring kingdom to Troy, but then I think Achilles sacks the city, and he takes her as his concubine or something. And they go to Troy, and then this other dude decides that he also wants her, and he's like super powerful in this war. I'm realizing I don't know a lot about the history of Troy or like that story, but yeah, she's stuck in the middle of these really powerful people during this really long war, which sounds interesting. I have also heard so many amazing things about this book, and I remember it was really, really popular like a couple of years ago, and I think I got it because it was shortlisted for an award. It does say here that it was on the Costa Book Awards shortlist, but I feel like maybe it was on the Women's Prize shortlist. I don't really know. But I've had it for ages, I still want to read it, and I need to just get to it. Another book I've had on my TBR for a while is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. And this is also an author I've been wanting to try, and I don't know about this. I feel like this is one of those books that could go both ways for me, but I do really want to try it. The story is about this woman who seems pretty privileged, and she lives in Manhattan, and she has everything you could want, but she is very unhappy, and she makes a decision to try and like go into hibernation for an entire year, which I don't really understand how you would do that, but I'm assuming maybe she like takes some drugs or something. But she does this, and that's all I really know. I don't really know what the book is going to be about if she's just like asleep, but maybe she's not asleep. I don't know. I'm going to read it and find out, and we'll see what I think. I am excited to try this author, and one of the reasons that I do think I might like this is that a lot of people who like books that I like this. So hopefully I'll like it too, but we'll see. It is one of those books that I just feel like I have to try and see for myself. Then we have this beautiful book. This is Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein. And this is a book I picked up not too long ago. And again, it's one of those books that I don't think everyone would like, but I feel like I might. I am a little bit like obsessed with this cover. That's part of the reason that I think I'm gonna like it, which is not always the best thing to go on, but I just love this cover so much. And I think I'm gonna like this, even though it kind of seems like it's a story where not a lot happens. It's about this woman who moves into her brother's house after like his wife leaves him, and she moves in to sort of become his housekeeper and take care of him, which is already a little weird. I don't think this is historical fiction. I don't really know, but that's a little weird. And then she gets there, and it seems like there's something strange going on in the village and something sinister, and there's all of this hostility. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much because it is quite a short book, and I just have a feeling it's better to go in a little bit blind. But yeah, I'm excited to see what I'm gonna find in here. Second to last, we have a translated book because I always like reading those. This is Welcome to the Huynam-Dong Bookshop by Hwang Bo-Reum. And honestly, I just want to read this because it's translated. I'm pretty sure it's translated from Korean. And it's one of those books that seems to be sort of like slice of life, and it has a bookshop in it. And that's enough for me. The story follows a woman who is just completely burned out from her life. She has a very demanding career, she has kind of like a demanding marriage and a demanding husband, and she just has a really, really busy life, and she just can't take it anymore. So she kind of hits a wall and decides to just leave all of it. And she has had this dream of opening up a bookshop, so she's just like, I'm gonna go do that. So she moves, leaves her whole life behind, and moves to this small neighborhood and opens up a bookshop. That sounds lovely, and I really like these kinds of books. I've read a couple, and I think they're great, and I can't wait to like follow this woman as she's following her dream. And I think it's gonna be sort of like slice of life, quiet, and lost woman finding herself, which I'm very into. Lastly, we have a little bit of a different book. It's The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. And this is historical fiction, and it's set in the 70s. and we meet this fisherman who is fishing outside of this island, and he comes across a mermaid, and she has been cursed, I think, because she was a human and she was really beautiful, and that sparked jealousy in all of these other women, and they cursed her. And I think he ends up taking her home, and she sort of starts turning back into a human or something. And I don't really know what's going on, but mermaids are cool, so I'm intrigued to read about like what's going on with that. I just think it sounds like an interesting story, and I feel like I really haven't read a lot of mermaid books, but it's something that I am interested in. Like, I can't think of a single one that well, I can. I've read The Little Mermaid, which is like the most basic one, but I guess I've read one, but I can't think of any other ones that I've read. Maybe when I'm editing this, I'll be like, I've read all of these books. I don't know, but I've had this for a little while. I'm excited to meet the mermaid and see what's going on with her. It is sad that she has been cursed, and I do think maybe a part of the story is her trying to get rid of the curse, I guess. That was the last book though. Those were all the books that I had in my pile. Now, I'd love to know if you have made a summer TBR, if there are any particular books on it that you're really excited to get to. I would love to hear all about it. As always, thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye!